Coming up on MMA Live, it is the highlight seen around the world. Anthony Pettis lands a kick for the ages at the WEC finale. So how did Showtime pull it off, and did the move actually win him the fight? Plus, cruise control for the bantamweight champ. The Dominator heads to the UFC in style. And he is the bully for a reason. Gray Maynard joins us. Why the new year could bring about a new UFC lightweight champion. MMA Live starts now. Well, it is the most wonderful time of year, so of course MMA Live doing a show this week. Welcome in Studio A here at the Worldwide Leader, John Anik, alongside Kenny Florian and Stephan Bonner. Fellas, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and thanks for working the holiday week. We appreciate that.
Man, I can't believe we're already here. It's Christmas, almost 2011, but I haven't had a great holidays. Santa brought me a knee brace, and that's about it. So I'm looking forward to getting to 2011 and getting to that new year.
Well, you know, it's great being here on Christmas. I do give time and a calf, right?
Yeah, of course you do.
All right, then it's extra great being here on Christmas. Love to be here. I love to give in the holiday season. And did you get a Trash Talkins Kids shirt yet?
No, I mean, I guess you guys weren't in the giving mood. Last year, Ken Flo got me a tap-out shirt. No gifts from you guys this year, but you know what? Thankfully, Anthony Pettis in a very giving mood this holiday season. He becomes the new and now last WEC champion with his win over Benson Henderson. We're going to get to the kick and everything that comes after, but first let's just get to the highlight of what was a very entertaining and very close fight start to finish.
I mean, did we expect anything less from a WEC main event? This was an unbelievable fight between the two very game fighters. Henderson definitely took control in that first round, utilizing his wrestling and ground game. Pettis came back in the second and third round, landed some very good strikes. That's where he really had the advantage over Ben Henderson. Even landed a couple takedowns, as you saw there, took Henderson's back. Henderson had Pettis' back at one point. They were both very close to submissions. This was an unbelievable back and forth.
It was just back and forth action the whole time, each round. Once one guy got the upper hand, it looked like he'd almost have the other guy out of there. Boom, the tides would change instantly. It was just an incredible fight. I mean, and we saw everything. Great strikes, and then, oh, how could we forget the ninja kick? The kick heard around the world. I'll never forget that moment. And the most amazing thing about that kick is it was pulled off in the fifth round of a title fight with 30 seconds left after 24 and a half minutes of back and forth battle. He pulled that move off.
So Pettis the winner by unanimous decision. Many people thought the fight did indeed come down to that fifth round. Here are the numbers for you, courtesy of FightMetric.com. The striking output, pretty similar there. Perhaps much of the fight hinging on Pettis' ability to stuff Henderson's takedowns. You see there he was able to do that 70% of the time. So here is the new champion post-fight.
Biggest thing going through my mind was go for it. I mean, I kept thinking, like, man, I got to do something to land. I mean, he was checking on my low kicks, and I couldn't get off. He kept stopping me one or two punches. So I'm like, I got to do something out the box and see what happens. And, I mean, luckily for me, it landed. And, I mean, we practiced it in camp, like you said, and to do it in the title fight in the last round, it's something different.
Well, that kick has been all over the place. If you saw SportsCenter Thursday night after the fight, number 2 on the top 10 plays. And how about the killer instinct? With the fight in the balance, to go for a move like that and land it, pretty impressive.
That's what's so insane about this. I mean, a lot of guys will try that in training, kind of fooling around. But to have the guts to pull that off, to attempt to pull that off in the fifth round when the fight was even like that is unbelievable. And Pettis just trying to attempt it. I mean, think about if he missed that, guys. I mean, he would have looked like a fool if he fell, if he fell on his butt and missed that kick.
Yeah.
But he did it and landed it and knocked Henderson down and almost out.
Really, what composure. This kid's only 23 years old, and he's pulling off stuff like that. I mean, this guy is really the limit for this guy. I mean, he's just, this last year, he's gotten better and better. Each fight he's improved. His wrestling's on par. He's a complete package. And to have good fundamentals and the flashy moves like that, wow, that makes you exciting.
And that's a move we may never see landed as effectively again in the history of mixed martial arts. So kudos there to Anthony Pettis, the last WEC champion. So now with the merger, guys, Pettis moves to the UFC. He gets an immediate title shot against the winner of that January 1st bout between the champion Frankie Edgar and Gray Maynard, who you will hear from shortly. So how does he stack up against the best lightweights in the world?
Well, there's one thing for sure, and he's going to bring in a lot of excitement to this next fight. Because he is so dynamic with his striking and with his submission game, I think he definitely has a chance against anybody out there. This kid still has a lot to improve on. That's why I would say he'd be the underdog against Maynard or Frankie Edgar. But of course he has a chance.
A lot of people are saying like he doesn't have a chance against this kind of competition, but like just look at his resume, look at his record. The guy's never been owned. His lone loss was a close split decision. Since then, he's improved leaps and bounds. So the guy really doesn't have it in him to be dominated like that. You know, you saw it in this fight. Henderson's a tremendous wrestler, and he's got such a good defensive guard. When Henderson did get him down, he couldn't amount any damage. Did a good job of getting back to his feet. And hey, Frankie and Gray, also you got to watch out for this guy's wrestling too. He's putting people on their backs nowadays.
All right, so that fight was the final fight in WEC history. What a way to go out for World Extreme Cage Fighting, but also part of that historic night in Glendale, Arizona. The bantamweight champion Dominick Cruz defending his title against Scott Jorgensen, and once again the Dominator looks dominant.
You know, Dominick Cruz, he's such a hard guy to fight. He's tall, lanky, unorthodox, very, very fast. Does a great, similar to Frankie Edgar, he'll get in and get out, land his strikes, mix it up. And the one thing that he does, that whether you're talking about war or whether you're talking about a WEC fight, that he does to his opponents is cause confusion. And when you're able to do that to your opponent, you will win the fight.
Yeah, and that means you're winning the mental battle. He is such an intelligent fighter. He fights so smart. He sticks to his game plan and mixes it up so well. It gets so frustrating to keep getting popped with shots like that. It makes you not want to come forward. And with all that movement, it kind of hypnotizes you. You don't want to get hit, and you're thinking about what do I do next? And then that's when he hits the takedowns. That's why he mixes it up so well. That footwork, the striking, and once you get a little confused, next thing you know, you're on your back.
Yeah, I would love to see some type of statistic on the different techniques that he executed during this fight. I mean, the variety of takedowns, the variety of strikes. He's going with his knees, his legs, his hands. I mean, it's beautiful to watch.
Scott Jorgensen is certainly one tough guy to put away. Here are your numbers, fightmetric.com. You see the volume for Cruz once again, 341 significant strikes thrown as Dominick Cruz defends the title once again. Here is the champion after the fight.
It's something you dream about. When you're coming up, just barely starting this sport. 5 years ago when I was starting it, I was 19 years old, and I was like, I'm going to fight in the UFC, you know. Thank God for the WC. They brought me up. I was able to get better and improve because of the fighters in my division in the WC. And now I've been able to have the opportunity to win the UFC championship, you know. It's awesome. There's no words to explain it. It's a dream come true. Thank God every day for it. You know, that's a true statement. And thank you, WC.
So Dominick Cruz on the way out becomes the first UFC bantamweight champion. And guys, Kenny talked about it a little bit, but a matchup nightmare, you know, not unlike you might see in the NBA or the NFL. So if you're in the opposite corner, what is the strategy to beat Dominick Cruz?
Well, to really cut off the cage, all that movement, you got to slow him down. And I was really expecting Jorgensen to utilize low kicks to try to cut the ring off, to try to slow him down, whichever way he's going. And, you know, for some reason or another, he didn't use that much. But, yeah, slow him down with low kicks and then get on the inside. You cannot fight this guy on the outside.
Well, they say that even chaos has patterns, and you got to find the patterns in what Dominick Cruz brings to the table. You know, he mixes it up so well. You better have a guy who can bring that speed and variety when you're preparing for a guy like Dominick Cruz.
All right, Cruz's only career loss came against Uriah Faber. That's the opponent that he wants, so we'll see if indeed Faber gets that first title crack at Cruz's 135-pound title. All right, quickly, one other highlight for you from WEC 53. Donald Cerrone, guys, stating his case for a spot on the UFC roster. Stefan, nice submission win for the Cowboys.
Yeah, it was. I mean, he's got such a good guard, which really made me question why Hordesky wanted to put him on his back in the first place. And Hordesky was able to get that takedown, but Cerrone make him paid. He's got one of the best triangles in the business. He's finished a lot of guys with that triangle, and once he gets that on, it's hard to get out of it.
Yeah, it was surprising to me as well because Hordesky was finding some success on the feet. He definitely had more of a chance of beating Cerrone on the feet than he did on the ground. So, yeah, it was very surprising to me hearing Tompkins in his corner telling Hordesky to take him down because that just went right into the game plan of Cowboy Cerrone. He's got a phenomenal triangle attack, and that's exactly how he finished him.
Donald Cerrone definitely has that killer instinct, definitely a fight finisher, and you have to think, given that performance, that he will get a chance to fight in the UFC. As we look at his last 5, though, maybe he's happy that Anthony Pettis took the belt from Ben Henderson. It appears that Ben Henderson, at least to this point, has had Cowboy Cerrone's number. All right, still to come on MMA Live, Gray Maynard still undefeated, and if he stays that way on New Year's Day, he will be the new UFC lightweight champion. The Bully set to join us straight ahead. This is MMA Live. And with that fine backdrop, we go bio blast on the UFC lightweight Gray Maynard. He is still perfect, unbeaten in 12 career mixed martial arts bouts. He was a 3-time All-American wrestler at Michigan State, where he actually roomed with our guy Rashad Evans. Maynard also featured on Season 5 of The Ultimate Fighter back in 2007, and his current 8-fight winning streak tied for the second longest in UFC history. And now joining us here on MMA Live is the UFC